Welcome back to the county seat. Our discussion today has been about wilderness in the state of Utah and really around the West. We wanted to wind down our discussion by talking about how communities deal with the problem.
There's been a lot of discussion over the years about what to do with these public lands and finally making decisions about creating wilderness and creating some permanence. Creating some finality to the discussion is important.
Well, it's a big political discussion. Everybody's involved. All the environmental groups have got their needs. Counties, of course, local government in Utah has got its say.
Detractors of these land bills contend that by allowing local input to designate future land use will be self-serving to the community at the expense of the greater good to all Americans. Yet, in reality, local planning brings some very valuable things to the table.
The number one thing a county brings is local knowledge of the area. Nobody knows the lands like the local county. They know who is playing in their backyard. They know what uses are appropriate and what uses aren't. A county is more likely to devise a wilderness boundary that's completely manageable because they know the land so well.
I think it gives you a lot of stability in your county to know where your wilderness is and your wilderness study areas. Hopefully some of them can be released. You know, we actually ended up with quite a bit more wilderness than we originally had in wilderness study areas.
While many people on both sides of the wilderness debate felt that the Washington County bill failed to live up to expectations, it did prove to be valuable for other counties engaged in the process.
Well, I think what the Washington County bill does is it gives you a template. I mean, we certainly can't just copy and paste the things that they've done in totality, but there were principles that came through that process that are going to be really applicable to us.
Not every county is created equal. Not every wilderness area is created equal. Years ago, I was involved in many statewide efforts to try to resolve this on a bigger level, and those proved simply to not work. This can't be a political fight. This can't be just done in Washington without involvement. Yes, these are public lands and national public voices need to be heard, but local voices also need to be heard. We need to bring both of those together and try to find solutions.
You know, what we don't want to see is what's happened with the Grand Staircase, where Clinton came in the dark of night and designated most of Kane and Garfield counties as the Grand Staircase National Monument, and zero people in the state had any ability to have any comment or make any suggestions or do anything on it.
What is needed for us to ultimately resolve this debate is a realistic look at the land we live upon here in the West. We need to see it for what it is and not what we wish it to be. But we need to be honest in our assessment of the land, its history, its pristine or unique nature, if it has any, and the application of the standard that Congress, not wilderness advocacy groups or land planning bureaucrats, desire.
This is not Alaska, this is not Siberia, this is Utah, and a lot of things have gone on here. The lands have been used by people for many decades, and we got to recognize that fact and actually decide what is best. Is wilderness best, or is actually actively managing the land best?
Thank you for joining us today on our program about wilderness. And I hope we've been able to give you the tools that will help you get engaged in the dialogue that needs to take place for us to be able to find a solution to wilderness. Because as long as this remains an argument between those who think that we should develop everything and those who think we should develop nothing, we will not find a sustainable answer that will serve our generation and the generations to come. Get involved. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week on the County Seat.